Hello, my name is Rachelle Watson, and I'm going to introduce to you the technology initiative program that we have set for our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade middle school students. First, we have to look at why we need this technology. Research upon research has shown us that technology is going to be a part of our current students' futures. They're going to be using it in their workforce, whether it is in the form of a machine, a high-tech computerization, they're going to be using it. And it is our responsibility to ensure that we prepare them for the success of their future. And with that in mind, you can see that 30% of tasks that exist today will no longer exist for 60% of jobs. And if you will also see that if you look at Forbes' top 10 skills that they put out every year, the past 10 years, there has been a technology piece to their top 10 skills that employers are looking for. It is our responsibility to ensure that we prepare these kids for the successful futures that they're wanting. And part of that success is technology. Our first goal we will focus on will center on ELA. We want students to have access to resources. We want them to have access to different forms of ideas, opinions, and research so that they can create projects that have credible sources and they can back up their information and resources, back up their opinions and ideas with credible information. We want teachers to be the guides for students' own research. That is the best way we can let them formulate their own ideas, opinions, and have research to back them up. Our second goal will focus on math standards. So we want students to have access to different data applications that will allow them to create formulas and enter in data that is real world application for math. We don't want them sitting there memorizing formulas and having no idea what the function of those formulas are for. Both of these goals will focus on the state and ELA math standards, and we want those students to reach a proficient level at minimum. So how are we funding this technology initiative? First and foremost, we're funding it through Title I funding. Title I funding centers around schools that have a majority of low-income students and low-performing students within the state's tests. We fall under that category, and that's why we want to purchase the iPad Pro with chargers and the keyboard folios that can be accompanied with it, giving students access to not only just internet, but access to all forms of creation. They would be able to create anything with cameras, microphones, videos, and that laptop function as well would come with the keyboards. The iPad is the true bang for your buck in terms of you have Apple and Microsoft apps that you can apply to the iPad, whereas other forms of technology are centered mostly on just Microsoft or just Apple. The iPad has Microsoft apps and Apple apps that you can use on these devices. So that's the best bang for your buck. And so that's why we would use Title I funding to purchase these devices. As soon as these devices come into play, it's a huge transition for schools. So we would have to perform some professional development. Teachers will first be given professional development on the basic functions of these iPads. How do these iPads work? What are the apps and programs that will be automatically downloaded to all student devices so that they know how to work them? That's the number one goal in order to really ensure a successful rollout of these devices. You first have to make sure that teachers know how to work them. Our second professional development will focus on lessons and curriculum that center around these iPads. Not every single thing, every single day do these iPads have to be used, but creating real useful, creative lesson plans and functions for these apps. These devices are not meant to replace the teacher. They are meant to be there as a major tool for the teacher and the students. So creating professional development that centers around how to do that will be the next most important thing that we give our teachers for making this a successful rollout of technology. Our timeline will focus very much on making sure teachers are giving that professional development and then making sure that assessments are given out for those evaluations of this initiative as well. We would do a pre-test at the beginning of the year. We would also have teachers focus on, again, professional development, how the basic functions of the iPads work. And our first semester will focus on PD from outside sources. We would bring in outside of the district helpers to show teachers how to create those lesson plans. Our second semester focuses mostly on inside help. What those teachers have created in their classrooms that first semester, sharing that with each other, working together through subject areas, dividing them up so that way math teachers can show math teachers how they've been able to use it. English teachers can show English teachers how they've been able to use it. Using our insight sources just as much as our outside sources is very important in terms of implementing this as well, giving teachers that time to work together and learn from each other. And then that assessment portion will be quarter three. We will ensure that we have given practice assessments to the students so that way they can be used to taking those assessments on the iPads and used to those and giving us that real world data that we need. And then at the end of the year, we would use the state test standards that the students all take for ELA and math to use in evaluations. How do we know if this will be successful? Well, for our ELA and math score, we will look at state test scores. We will compare the last 3 years of state test scores without technology and compare them to years with technology for a minimum of every 3 years. Our goal, our overall SMART goal, is that 80% of students will pass these tests with a proficient level. However, for the first 3 years, we will have to focus mostly on growth mindset because our students having only 1 year of technology and then having 2 years, 3 years, we expect to see a growth in that number. The more years that students and teachers have this technology at their disposal, well, the more we hope that that growth will happen. And so until we reach our 80% of proficient level, the first 3 years is definitely focused on a growth mindset in terms of implementation. And then once we've reached that 80% goal, again, refocusing our goal to a higher level of proficient students. And again, growth is what we're looking for in terms of success in the state test scores. In conclusion, to ensure student growth and success in the classroom, technology-based education is required to create a fully prepared workforce. The workforce of today is not the workforce of tomorrow. We have to prepare our kids for what they're going to be facing in the future. That is the point, and that is the obligation of schools, is to prepare these kids for the challenges and the goals that they have for their own future. And part of that future and part of those challenges are going to be technology. So we have to prepare our students for that. And this is the best way for that to happen. Thank you.